My name is Dylan Carter, and I'm a graphic designer living in Portland, Oregon. At 28 years old, I had my life reasonably figured out, decent apartment, a job I didn't hate, a small circle of friends I actually liked. But there was one complication I couldn't design my way out of. Marcus fucking Red. Marcus and I met during our sophomore year of college when we were randomly assigned as roommates. He was studying architecture while I was deep into my graphic design program. We clicked instantly, same taste in music, same dry sense of humor, same appreciation for terrible horror movies and good whiskey. Over the years, our friendship had become the cornerstone of my life. We'd been through everything together: failed relationships, career changes, family drama, late-night existential crises. He knew me better than anyone, and I knew him just as well. Or so I thought. The problem? Somewhere between movie marathons and midnight conversations, I'd fallen completely, irreversibly in love with him. And Marcus was straight. Or at least I'd always assumed he was. He dated women exclusively for as long as I'd known him, including a 2-year relationship with a marketing executive named Vanessa that had ended 6 months ago. I'd been out and proud since high school. And Marcus had always been supportive, never once making me feel uncomfortable or different, which somehow made it worse. He was exactly the kind of guy I wanted: thoughtful, intelligent, funny, with these warm brown eyes that crinkled when he laughed, and a smile that could light up the darkest room, but he was off limits. My best friend, straight, untouchable. So I did what any sensible person would do. I kept my feelings locked away, buried under layers of platonic banter and carefully maintained boundaries, until that February night changed everything. It was a Wednesday evening, and I was working late on a logo redesign for a coffee company that couldn't seem to decide what they actually wanted. My eyes were starting to blur from staring at the screen when my phone buzzed. Marcus. Hey, random question. You busy this weekend? Me. Define busy. If you mean drowning in client revisions and existential dread, then yes, absolutely swamped. Marcus, perfect. Clear your schedule. I need you. My heart did that stupid flutter thing it always did when he said things like that, even though I knew he didn't mean it the way I wished he did. Me, cryptic much. What's going on? Marcus, my firm won a design competition, and the prize is a weekend at this fancy cabin up in the mountains. Private hot tub, incredible views, the whole luxury package. But here's the thing: it's meant for 2 people, and I don't want to go alone. Come with me? I stared at the message, my mind racing through 1,000 implications. A weekend. Alone. With Marcus. In a romantic mountain cabin. This was either the best idea or the worst idea in the history of terrible ideas. Me. What happened to taking someone on a date? Isn't a mountain cabin a bit much for just friends? The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, Marcus. I did date. For 2 years. Didn't work out, remember? Besides, you're my best friend. Who else would I want to share this with? Come on, Dylan, when's the last time we just hung out, just the 2 of us? No group dinners, no parties, no distractions. Just us. Some good food. Maybe a hiking trail if we're feeling ambitious. And that hot tub looks amazing. Please? My resolve crumbled like cheap drywall. When Marcus said please like that, I was completely defenseless. Me. You're lucky I'm a sucker for mountain views. When do we leave? Marcus. Friday afternoon. I'll pick you up at 3. Pack warm clothes. And maybe swim trunks if you're brave enough for the hot tub in February. Me, you're insane. Marcus, you love it. I stared at those 3 words far longer than I should have. He had no idea how true they were. The next 2 days passed in a blur of nervous energy. I told myself repeatedly that this was just a friend trip. 2 buddies enjoying a cabin in the woods. Nothing more. But my traitorous brain kept conjuring images. Marcus in swim trunks, water droplets running down his chest. The 2 of us alone in a hot tub under the stars, steam rising around us. Those brown eyes, looking at me with something more than friendship. Stop it, I muttered to myself Thursday night while packing. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. My best friend, and one of the few people who knew about my feelings for Marcus, was a woman named Ava who worked at the coffee shop below my apartment. I'd confided in her during a particularly weak moment 6 months ago, and she'd been simultaneously supportive and exasperated with me ever since. I called her Friday morning while double-checking my bag. "So let me get this straight," Ava said, her voice dripping with amusement. "Your straight best friend, the guy you've been pining over for 3 years, just invited you to spend a romantic weekend alone with him in a mountain cabin with a hot tub, and you said yes? When you put it like that, it sounds like emotional self-harm, because it is, Dylan. It absolutely is." "I couldn't say no," I admitted, sitting down on my bed. "You know I can't say no to him," Ava sighed. "Look, I love you, and I want you to be happy, but I also don't want to see you get hurt." "Marcus is great, but if he's straight, he is straight," I interrupted firmly. "I know that. I'm not going up there with some fantasy that he's suddenly going to realize he's in love with me. I miss him. We've both been so busy lately, and this is a chance to reconnect. As friends? That's all," Ava said, though she sounded unconvinced. "But promise me you'll be careful with your heart. And text me if you need an emergency exit strategy, I promise." But as I ended the call, I couldn't shake the nervous anticipation building in my chest. This weekend was going to test every ounce of self-control I possessed. Marcus arrived at exactly 3 p.m. Punctual as always. I watched from my window as he parked his Jeep, and my breath caught slightly. He was wearing a dark green Henley that brought out the gold flecks in his brown eyes. His black hair slightly messy in that effortlessly attractive way. "Get it together, Carter. Ready for adventure?" he asked when I climbed into the passenger seat, his smile wide and genuine. "Ready for whatever trouble you're dragging me into?" I replied. Falling into our familiar banter, the drive was about 2 hours. Winding through increasingly dense forests as we climbed into the Cascade Range, we fell into easy conversation work gossip. Mutual friends. A heated debate about whether the new horror movie we wanted to see was going to be terrible or just mediocre. But there were moments, brief flashes, where something felt different. The way Marcus's hand lingered when he passed me his phone to change the music. The way his eyes flicked to me when he thought I wasn't looking. The slight tension in the air that felt electric and unfamiliar. Or maybe I was just projecting. "Seeing what I wanted to see," so Marcus said, about an hour into the drive, his tone carefully casual. "How's your love life these days? You haven't mentioned dating anyone in a while?" I tensed slightly. Non-existent. Between work and everything else, I haven't really had time. "Dylan, you're amazing. Smart, funny, talented. Guys should be lining up, if you only knew I thought. What about you? How are you doing after Vanessa?" His jaw tightened slightly. "Honestly, I'm relieved. Don't get me wrong, she's a good person, but something was missing. I spent 2 years trying to convince myself it was right, that I should want it to work. But I couldn't shake this feeling that I was settling. Like I was waiting for something or someone else." My heart hammered against my ribs. "Did you ever figure out what was missing?" He was quiet for a long moment, his hands tightening slightly on the steering wheel. I'm starting to... The weight of those words hung between us, loaded with implications I didn't dare examine too closely. The cabin was breathtaking. Perched on a hillside with panoramic views of snow-capped mountains, it was all rustic wood and floor-to-ceiling windows. Inside, the open-concept space featured a stone fireplace, a modern kitchen, and furniture that managed to be both comfortable and stylish. Holy shit, I breathed, taking it all in. "Your firm won this?" "Designing a sustainable community center," Marcus said proudly. 3 months of work, but totally worth it. The cabin had 1 bedroom with a king-size bed, which Marcus insisted we could share. We're both adults, Dylan. Don't be weird about it, and a bathroom. With a rainfall shower that looked like something from a luxury spa, but the real centerpiece was outside. A massive hot tub on the deck, surrounded by privacy screens and positioned to take full advantage of the mountain views. "We're definitely using that tonight," Marcus declared, already grinning with anticipation. "It's February," I reminded him. "It'll be freezing, it's the point. Hot tub, cold air, stars overhead. It'll be perfect." I couldn't argue with his logic. Even as my anxiety spiked at the thought of being nearly naked with Marcus in such an intimate set, and we spent the afternoons settling in, exploring the cabin and making dinner together, pasta with garlic bread, accompanied by a bottle of red wine Marcus had brought. The sun set in brilliant shades of orange and purple. Painting the mountains in fire after dinner, Marcus suggested we try the hot tub, and despite my reservations, I agreed. I changed into my swim trunks in the bathroom, staring at my reflection and giving myself a stern internal pep talk. You can do this. Just be normal. Don't stare. Don't say anything stupid. Don't, Dylan. You okay in there? Marcus called. Coming. When I stepped outside, Marcus was already in the water, his head tilted back against the edge of the tub, eyes closed. The contrast of the steam rising around him and the cold night air created an almost dreamlike atmosphere. String lights wrapped around the deck railing provided a soft, warm glow. He opened his eyes when he heard me approach, and something in his expression shifted a flicker of awareness that made my skin prickle with heat that had nothing to do with the hot tub. Water's perfect, he said, his voice slightly rougher than usual. I slipped into the water across from him, the heat enveloping me instantly. The jets were running, creating a pleasant hum and gentle turbulence. You were right, I admitted. This is amazing. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, looking up at the stars beginning to emerge in the darkening sky, but I was acutely aware of every inch of space between us. Of the way the water moved across Marcus's skin, of how his eyes kept finding mine in the dim light. Dylan, Marcus said finally, his voice serious, can I ask you something? My heart rate kicked up several notches. Of course, have you ever? He paused, seeming to wrestle with his words. Have you ever had feelings for someone you weren't supposed to? Someone you convinced yourself was off limits? The question hit me like a physical blow. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Was he asking what I thought he was asking? Yes, I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. I have. Marcus moved closer, the water rippling around him. What did you do about it? I kept quiet, I said honestly. I told myself it was better to have them in my life as a friend than risk everything by being honest. And was it? He asked, his eyes locked on mine. Better. No, I admitted. It's been torture. We were closer now. Close enough that I could see the water droplets clinging to his eyelashes. Could feel the heat radiating from his body, mixing with the heat of the water. Dylan. I need to tell you something, Marcus said, his voice intense. And I need you to let me finish before you say anything, okay? I nodded, unable to speak. When Vanessa and I broke up, Marcus began, his eyes never leaving mine. She said something to me that I couldn't stop thinking about. She told me I'd never fully loved her because my heart belonged to someone else. I tried to deny it, tried to convince her and myself that she was wrong, but she wasn't. My pulse was roaring in my ears. The hot tub suddenly felt too hot, the air too thin. For the past 3 years, Marcus continued, his voice rough with emotion. I've been lying to myself. Telling myself that what I felt for you was just friendship, that the way my heart raced when you smiled was normal, that the jealousy I felt whenever you went on dates with other guys was just protective friend bullshit. But it wasn't. It isn't. He moved even closer, and I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I'm in love with you, Dylan. I have been for so long that I can't remember when it started. Maybe it was always there, from the moment we met. I just didn't have the courage to face it. I dated women because that's what I thought I was supposed to do, what I'd always done. But none of them were you. None of them made me feel the way you do. Tears were burning behind my eyes. This couldn't be real. I had to be dreaming, or hallucinating, or say something, Marcus whispered, vulnerability written across his face. Please, even if it's to tell me I've ruined everything. I can't stand this silence. You love me? I managed, my voice cracking. God, Dylan, I'm crazy about you. Everything about you. Your terrible puns, the way you get completely absorbed in your design work, how you always remember everyone's coffee orders, the little crease between your eyebrows when you're concentrating. I think about you constantly. You're the first person I want to talk to when something good happens, and the only person I want when things go wrong. You're my best friend, and so much more than that. Sound escaped me, half laugh, half sob. You have no idea how long I've waited to hear you say that. Marcus's eyes widened. You feel the same way? Are you kidding? I said, my voice shaking with emotion. Marcus, I've been in love with you for 3 years. You've been the reason I couldn't make any relationship work because no one else compared. I convinced myself you were straight, that I could never have you, and I tried to be okay with just being your friend. But it's killed me seeing you with other people, pretending my feelings didn't exist. 3 years? Marcus breathed, something like wonder in his voice. We've wasted 3 years? You didn't know you were into guys? I pointed out. I didn't know I was into you, he corrected. I still don't know what label fits, if any. I just know that you're the person I want. The person I've always wanted. The distance between us had shrunk to nothing. His hand rose from the water, fingers ghosting along my jaw, sending electricity through every nerve. Can I kiss you? Marcus asked, his voice barely audible over the hum of the hot tub jets. I thought you'd never when Marcus's lips met mine. The entire world fell away. The kiss started gentle. Almost tentative, a question being asked and answered. His lips were soft and warm, tasting faintly of the wine we'd had with dinner. My hands found his shoulders, pulling him closer as the kiss deepened. 3 years of longing and want pouring into that single moment. His hands cupped my face, thumbs stroking my cheeks as we kissed like we were making up for all the time we'd lost. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. I've imagined that so many times, Marcus whispered, but nothing could have prepared me for how incredible it actually is. We're idiots, I said, laughing breathlessly. Complete idiots for waiting this long, agreed. He kissed me again, shorter this time, but no less intense. But we're not waiting anymore. We stayed in the hot tub for another hour, alternating between kissing and talking about everything we'd kept hidden. Marcus told me about his growing confusion over the past year, how he'd started noticing other men in ways he'd never had before, but how it was always me who dominated his thoughts. I'd catch myself staring at you during movie nights. He admitted, his fingers tracing patterns on my shoulder beneath the water, wondering what it would be like to hold you, kiss you. Then I'd feel guilty because I thought you saw me as just a friend and I was afraid of making you uncomfortable. I was terrified you'd figure out how I felt, I confessed. I thought I was being so obvious. Every time you dated someone, it took everything I had not to tell you that they weren't right for you, that you should be with me instead. We really are idiots, Marcus said, pulling me against him. The feeling of his skin against mine, with nothing but thin fabric separating us, was intoxicating eventually. The cold air won out over the hot water, and we reluctantly climbed out. Wrapping ourselves in the thick towels Marcus had brought outside, back inside the cabin, we stood in the living room, suddenly uncertain. So, I said, acutely aware that there was only one bed. What now? Marcus stepped closer, his hand finding mine. Now, we figure this out together. No more hiding, no more pretending. I want to do this right, Dylan. I want to date you properly, take you to dinner, hold your hand in public, all of it. But right now. He paused, his eyes darkening with want. Right now, I just want to hold you. Can we do that? Yes, I breathed. Definitely yes. We changed into comfortable clothes, sweatpants, and t-shirts. And Marcus started a fire in the fireplace while I made hot chocolate in the kitchen. When I returned with 2 mugs, he'd arranged pillows and blankets on the couch facing the fire. We settled in together. My back against his chest, his arms wrapped around me. The fire crackled softly, casting dancing shadows across the room. This feels like a dream, I murmured, setting my half-finished cocoa on the side table. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and find out I imagined all of this. Marcus's arms tightened around me. Not a dream. I'm right here, and I'm not going anywhere. He pressed a kiss to the top of my head. Although I have to admit, I'm nervous as hell. I turned in his arms to look at him. About what? This is all new for me, he said, vulnerability flickering in his eyes. Being with a guy, being with you. What if I'm not good at it? What if I mess this up? Hey, I said softly, cupping his face. You've been my best friend for years. You already know me better than anyone. That doesn't change. We're just adding new dimensions to what we already have. What if the physical stuff is weird? He asked, a hint of insecurity in his voice. I want to be with you in every way, but I don't want to disappoint you. I kissed him gently. Marcus, just being close to you like this is more than I ever thought I'd have. We don't have to rush anything. We'll figure it out together, at our own pace. There's no timeline, no pressure, okay? He kissed me back, deeper this time, his hands sliding into my hair. When we broke apart, he was smiling. How did I get so lucky? Pretty sure I'm the lucky one, I countered. We shifted positions until we were lying on the couch, tangled together, exchanging lazy kisses between quiet conversation. Marcus asked questions about my past relationships, what I liked, what I wanted. I answered honestly, while being careful not to overwhelm him. I like that we can talk about this, he said, that we can be honest with each other. That's what makes us work, I replied. We've always been able to talk about anything. As the fire burned lower, our kisses grew more heated. Marcus's hands explored cautiously, sliding under my shirt to feel the warm skin beneath. I mirrored his movements, careful to follow his lead, letting him set the pace. Is this okay? He asked against my lips. More than okay, I assured him. We made out like teenagers, discovering each other in ways we never had before. There was fumbling and nervous laughter when we bumped noses or shifted awkwardly. But it felt right. Real. Perfect in its imperfection. Eventually, exhaustion began to set in. It was past midnight, and the emotional intensity of the evening had drained us both. Bed? Marcus suggested, his voice husky. We moved to the bedroom, and I felt a flutter of nervousness when we climbed under the covers together. But Marcus simply pulled me close, my head on his chest, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear. Thank you, he whispered into the darkness. For what? For being patient with me. For waiting even when you didn't know I was worth waiting for. For being you. I pressed a kiss to his chest. You've always been worth it. Marcus, always. I woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and the unfamiliar but wonderful sensation of being wrapped in Marcus's arms. For a moment, I lay still, afraid to move and break whatever spell had been cast last night. But then Marcus stirred, his arms tightening around me. Morning, he mumbled sleepily, pressing a kiss to my shoulder. Morning, I replied, unable to keep the smile from my voice. He shifted so we were face to face on the pillows. His hair was adorably messy, and there was a crease on his cheek from the pillowcase. I'd never seen anything more beautiful. Still real, he said, echoing my thoughts from last night. Thank God. Any regrets? I asked, needing to hear the answer. Only that we didn't do this sooner. He kissed me, morning breath and all. I want to make you breakfast, take you on a hike, show you off to the mountains. Is that weird? That's perfect, I said. We spent the morning in domestic bliss making pancakes together, stealing kisses between flipping them on the griddle, feeding each other bites while sitting at the breakfast bar. Marcus couldn't seem to stop touching me, a hand on my lower back, fingers trailing down my arm, pulling me in for random hugs and kisses. I have years of this to make up for, he explained when I teased him about it. Let me be clingy. After breakfast, we bundled up and went for a hike on a nearby trail. The February air was crisp and cold, but the sun was shining, making the snow-covered landscape sparkle. We held hands the entire way, and Marcus would occasionally stop to kiss me. His cold nose pressing against my cheek. I could get used to this, I said as we stood at a viewpoint, his arms wrapped around me from behind. Good, Marcus said, because I plan on doing it as much as possible. That afternoon, we returned to the cabin and settled on the couch with coffee. The comfortable silence between us, speaking volumes. Can I ask you something? Marcus said after a while. Anything. How did you know? That you were gay, I mean? How did you figure it out? I considered the question carefully. I think part of me always knew, even as a kid. I just didn't have the language for it yet. But in high school, when other guys were going crazy over girls, I realized I was going crazy over guys. It was scary at first, accepting it. But once I did, once I came out, it felt like I could finally breathe. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. I keep wondering why it took me so long. If maybe I was in denial, or if I'm actually bisexual but just never explored that side of myself. Labels are useful for some people, and not for others, I said gently. You don't have to figure it all out right now. What matters is how you feel, not what you call it. I feel like myself for the first time in years, Marcus said simply. When I'm with you, everything makes sense. That's all that matters. He pulled me closer, kissing my temple. I'm going to tell people. I want everyone to know. Are you sure? I asked, searching his face. We don't have to rush, I'm sure, he interrupted firmly. I'm done hiding, done pretending. I love you, and I want the world to know it. My heart swelled with emotion. I love you too. So much. We spent the rest of the afternoon alternating between conversation and comfortable silence. Between innocent affection and deeper kisses that left us both breathless and wanting more. As evening approached, we made dinner together, steak and roasted vegetables, and opened another bottle of wine. We ate on the couch, plates balanced on our laps, feeding each other bites and laughing at nothing in particular. One more night, Marcus said with a hint of sadness. Then back to reality. Reality doesn't have to be bad, I pointed out. We get to figure out what our life looks like together now. Our life together, Marcus repeated, testing out the words. I like the sound of that. After dinner, we decided to use the hot tub again. This time, there was no nervousness, no uncertainty. We knew what we were to each other now. The night was even clearer than the previous one, the sky a carpet of stars above us. We settled into the hot water, and Marcus immediately pulled me close, positioning me between his legs so my back rested against his chest. Much better than sitting across from each other. He murmured against my ear, sending shivers down my spine. Agreed. We stayed like that for a long time. His arms wrapped around me, occasionally pressing kisses to my neck and shoulder. The intimacy of it was overwhelming, in the best way to be held by him, wanted by him, loved by him. Marcus said softly, I want you to know that even though this is new for me, what I feel isn't uncertain. I'm all in. Whatever this takes, however long it takes me to figure everything out, I'm committed to you. To us, I turned in his arms to face him, straddling his lap, the water sloshing around us. I know I trust you. I'm going to make mistakes, he continued. I'll probably say the wrong thing sometimes, or not understand certain things about the LGBTQ+ community that you take for granted. But I promise I'll listen and learn. And I promise to be patient, I said, touching my forehead to his. We're partners now. We figure things out together. He kissed me then, deep and passionate, his hands gripping my hips beneath the water. The kiss grew more intense, our bodies pressing together. And I felt him respond to me, felt his desire matching my own. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Marcus rested his forehead against my shoulder. I want you, he said, his voice raw. God, Dylan, I want you so much. I want you too, I replied, running my hands through his wet hair. But we don't have to rush. We have all the time in the world, I know. I know, I assured him. I feel it too. We stayed in the hot tub until the cold air became too much, then headed inside. As we toweled off and got ready for bed, there was a new charge in the air awareness. Anticipation, the promise of more to come when we were both ready. In bed, we held each other close, exchanging lazy kisses that didn't demand more than we were ready to give. Tomorrow we go home, Marcus said. But this doesn't end. This is just the beginning. The beginning of everything, I agreed. As I drifted off to sleep in Marcus's arms, I felt a peace I'd never known before. After years of longing and hoping, I was finally exactly where I belonged. Sunday morning arrived too quickly. We packed slowly, neither of us eager to leave the bubble we'd created in this cabin. Every item I placed in my bag felt like a small. Lost the towels we'd used after the hot tub, the mugs we'd drunk coffee from, the bed where we'd held each other through the night. Hey, Marcus, said, catching me staring wistfully at the hot tub through the window. This isn't an ending, it's a beginning. Remember? I know, I said, turning to him. I'm just going to miss this place. It'll always be special to me. He pulled me into his arms, kissing the top of my head. We can come back, for anniversaries, or just because. This place is ours. Now the place where everything changed. Before we left, Marcus insisted on taking a photo of us on the deck with the mountains in the background. He set up his phone on a timer, and we stood with his arm around my waist, my head on his shoulder, both of us smiling genuine, unguarded smiles. Our first official photo as a couple, he said, examining the image with satisfaction. Perfect. The drive back to Portland felt different from the drive up. The nervous tension was gone, replaced by a comfortable intimacy.
Marcus
held my hand over the center console whenever he wasn't shifting gears, and we talked about practical things when we'd tell our friends, how we'd navigate our relationship given that we'd been such close friends for so long, whether I'd eventually move into his place or he into mine. We don't have to figure everything out today, I reminded him, when the conversation started to feel overwhelming. I know, just want to be prepared. I want to do this right. Because there's no instruction manual for this. We just have to be honest with each other and take it one day at a time. He squeezed my hand. When did you get so wise? Dead. I've been thinking about this for 3 years, I pointed out with a laugh. As we got closer to the city, I felt Marcus's mood shift slightly. His grip on my hand tightened, and I could see the tension in his jaw. Talk to me, I said gently. What's going on in that head of yours? He was quiet for a moment before answering. I'm nervous. It's about people's reactions. My family, especially. Are they conservative? I asked carefully. He'd never talked much about his family's views on LGBTQ issues, probably because it had never seemed relevant when he was dating women. Not particularly, but they're traditional in some ways. They're going to be surprised. My mom has been not so subtly asking when I'm going to settle down with a nice woman and give her grandchildren. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. I'm 30 years old, and I'm about to come out to my parents. That's terrifying. You don't have to tell them right away, I offered. We can take this at whatever pace feels right for you. No, Marcus said firmly. I meant what I said. I'm not hiding this. Hiding you. I'm not ashamed. I'm just scared they'll be disappointed in me. I brought his hand to my lips, kissing his knuckles. If they love you, and I'm sure they do, they'll want you to be happy. I plan to make you incredibly happy. That earned me a genuine smile. You already do. When we reached my apartment building, Marcus parked, but didn't immediately get out. Instead, he turned to me, cupping my face in his hands. I don't want to say goodbye, he admitted. Then don't. Come up for a while. You can order takeout, watch a movie, just be together a little longer. Yes, he said immediately, relief evident in his expression. Please. As fate would have it, we ran into Ava in the lobby. She was carrying a bag of groceries and nearly dropped them when she saw Marcus and me walking in together, my hand in his. Oh my God, she breathed, her eyes going wide. My God, Dylan Carter, you better tell me everything right now. I laughed at her expression. Ava, you remember Marcus? Of course I remember Marcus. She looked between us, taking in our linked hands and probably the dopey expressions on our faces. But last I checked, he was in love with Dylan, Marcus supplied, extending his free hand to shake hers. Continue 9:07 a.m. Nice to officially meet you as his boyfriend. Ava's jaw dropped. Boyfriend. I need details. All the details. Now how about you come up in half an hour, I suggested. Give us time to settle in, and then we'll tell you everything. Fine, but I'm bringing wine, and I expect a full report. She pointed at Marcus. And if you hurt him, I know where you live now. Noted, Marcus said, grinning. Though I promise, hurting him is the last thing I'd ever do. Once we were alone in my apartment, Marcus pulled me close. I like your friends. Protective. She's been listening to me pine over you for months. This is probably vindicating for her. True to her word, Ava showed up 30 minutes later with 2 bottles of wine and an expression that demanded answers. We settled on my couch, Marcus, and I closed together, his arm around my shoulders. Told her the abbreviated version of what had happened at the cabin. This is literally the best thing I've ever heard, Ava declared when we finished. I'm talking rom-com levels of perfect. The hot tub confession? Under the stars? Chef's kiss. Yeah. It did feel pretty cinematic, I admitted. So what's the plan now? Ava asked, her business mode kicking in. Are you telling people? Making it official? We're telling people, Marcus confirmed. Starting with our close friends, then family. I want everyone to know. Ava studied him for a moment, then smiled. Good, Dylan deserves someone who's proud to be with him. And from everything he's told me about you, you're a good guy, Marcus. Welcome to the family over the next few days, we told our mutual friends. Most reactions were overwhelmingly positive, though there was a definite finally theme to many of them. Our friend Jason, who'd been on the periphery of our friend group for years, literally cheered when we told him over drinks on Tuesday night. I've been saying for 2 years that you two were perfect for each other, he crowed. 2 years. What? Did anyone listen to me? But I was right. We get it. You're psychic, I said, laughing. Not psychic, just observant. The way you looked at each other? Come on. It was obvious to everyone but you two.
What?
Marcus's friend from work, a woman named Claire, had a more emotional reaction. I'm so happy for you, she said, hugging Marcus tightly. After Vanessa, I was worried you'd given up on finding the right person. I should have known they were right in front of you the whole time. But telling our families was going to be more complicated. Marcus decided to tell his parents in person. He asked me to come with him for moral support, and though I was nervous, I agreed. We drove to his childhood home in the suburbs on a Saturday afternoon. 2 weeks after our cabin trip, his parents, Robert and Linda Reed, welcomed me warmly. I'd met them a few times over the years at various gatherings, and they'd always been kind to me. We made small talk over coffee in their living room, and I could see Marcus growing more tense with each passing minute. Finally, he set down his cup and took a deep breath. Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something important. His mother's expression immediately shifted to concern. What is it, sweetheart? Is everything okay? Everything is more than okay, Marcus said, reaching for my hand. But it's going to come as a surprise. I'm in a relationship with Dylan.
Oh.
The silence that followed felt endless. I watched his parents' faces carefully, looking for any sign of their reaction. His father spoke first. You mean you and Dylan are together? Romantically? Yes, Marcus said firmly, squeezing my hand. I know this is unexpected. No, you probably thought I was straight. I thought I was straight. But I've realized that I'm not. Or at least not completely. What I am is in love with Dylan. He's my person. And I need you to know that this isn't a phase or confusion. This is real. His mother's eyes had filled with tears, and my heart sank until she spoke. Oh, Marcus. Oh, sweetheart. She moved to sit beside him, taking his free hand. Thank you for trusting us enough to tell us. Thank you for being honest. You're not disappointed? Marcus asked, his voice cracking slightly. Disappointed? His father said, moving to join them. Son, all we've ever wanted is for you to be happy. To find someone who loves you and treats you well. If that person is Dylan, then we're thrilled. Linda turned to me, smiling through her tears. Dylan, we've always liked you. You've been such a good friend to Marcus all these years, knowing that you love each other. That's wonderful. Truly. The relief on Marcus's face was palpable. Really? You mean it? Really? His father confirmed. Though I have to admit, your mother called this years ago. She kept telling me there was something special about the way you looked at Dylan. Robert. Linda swatted his arm, but she was smiling. I did think you two had a special connection. I just wasn't sure if either of you would ever figure it out. We spent the next hour talking, Marcus answering their questions. Me occasionally chiming in, his parents being remarkably understanding and supportive. When we left, his mother hugged us both tightly. You're always welcome here, she told me. Both of you. Always. In the car, Marcus was quiet for a few minutes before he suddenly laughed. I was so scared. I've been terrified for weeks. And they were just wonderful. They love you, I said simply. Really love you. Of course they want you to be happy. I'm so lucky, Marcus said, bringing my hand to his lips. Lucky to have them? Lucky to have you? The weeks that followed settled into a new normal. Marcus and I were together constantly. making up for lost time. We had date nights, real, romantic date nights, where he picked me up with flowers and took me to nice restaurants. We had lazy mornings in bed, passionate nights learning each other's bodies, and quiet evenings just existing in the same space while we worked. We discovered new things about each other. Intimate details you only learn when a relationship shifts to romance. I learned that Marcus loved being held just as much as holding me, that he got adorably flustered when I complimented him, that he made this soft sound when I kissed the spot behind his ear. He learned that I was clingy in the mornings, that I stress-baked when I had difficult projects, that I loved having my hair played with. We navigated challenges too. Marcus was still figuring out his identity, sometimes getting frustrated when he couldn't put a neat label on what he was feeling. I learned to be patient during these moments, reminding him that he didn't owe anyone a label, least of all himself. "I think I'm bisexual," he said one evening, about a month into our relationship. We were cooking dinner together, moving around each other in my small kitchen with practiced ease. Or maybe pansexual. I'm still not entirely sure of the difference. "What matters is what feels right to you," I said, chopping vegetables while he stirred pasta sauce. "Bisexual feels right. I've been attracted to women in the past, and I'm attracted to you. I'm attracted to people, regardless of gender. Yeah, bisexual." "Okay," I said simply, kissing his cheek. "That works just like that?" "Just like that. You've figured out something about yourself. You told me, and I support you. That's how this works." He pulled me into a proper kiss, heedless of the fact that we were both holding cooking utensils. "I love you so much. Love you too. Now finish that sauce before it burns." 3 months into our relationship, Marcus brought up the idea of living together. We were at his place, which was admittedly nicer than Mina, 2-bedroom loft with great light and space for both of us to work from home when needed. "Your lease is up in 2 months, he pointed out, "and you're here most of the time anyway. Why pay for 2 places?" "Are you sure?" I asked. 3 months isn't very long. Most people would say we're moving too fast. Most people weren't best friends for years before they got together, Marcus countered. "We know each other better than most couples who've been together for years. I want to wake up with you every morning. I want this to be our home, not just mine. What do you think?" I looked around the loft, imagining my things mixed with his, imagining building a life here together. "I think yes," I said, grinning. "Absolutely yes." Moving in together was surprisingly easy. We already knew each other's habits and quirks. We'd lived together in college, after all, so we knew we were compatible roommates. The difference now was the romance, the intimacy, the joy of building something together. We turned his second bedroom into a shared office space. With my design set up on one side and his architecture materials on the other, we rearranged the living room to accommodate both our tastes. We combined our book collections and argued playfully about how to organize them. "Alphabetical by author," I insisted. "By genre." Then author, Marcus countered. We compromised on genre. Then alphabetical by author. It was domestic and wonderful and everything I'd ever wanted, 6 months after that life-changing weekend in the cabin. Marcus and I were hosting a dinner party at our loft. Our living room was full of our closest friends, Va, Jason, Claire, and a few others laughing and talking over wine and the meal we'd spent all afternoon preparing. At one point, I stepped out onto our small balcony for some air. The summer evening was beautiful, the city lights beginning to twinkle as the sun set. I heard the door open behind me and smiled as Marcus's arms wrapped around my waist. "Hey," he murmured against my neck. "Needed a break?" "Just taking a moment," I said, leaning back against him. Looking at how different life is now compared to 6 months ago, better, different, the best different, turned in his arms to face him. "Sometimes I still can't believe this is real. That you're mine." "I'm yours," Marcus confirmed, kissing me softly. "Completely, utterly yours." "And you're mine? Forever?" "If you'll have me that long." I kissed him deeper, pouring all my love and gratitude into it. When we broke apart, we stayed forehead to forehead, just breathing together. "I have something for you," Marcus said, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small box, and my heart jumped into my throat. Marcus, before you panic, it's not an engagement ring, he said quickly, laughing nervously. Though I won't lie, I've thought about it, but I know we're not there yet. This is something else. He opened the box to reveal 2 matching silver bands. Simple, but elegant. Promise rings, he explained. A promise that I'm in this for the long haul. That I'm yours, and you're mine, and we're building something real together. What do you say? I couldn't speak past the lump in my throat, so I just nodded, holding out my hand. He slipped one ring onto my finger, and I took the other and placed it on his. They fit perfectly. I love you, I managed finally. So much. I love you too, Marcus said, pulling me close. Thank you for waiting for me. Thank you for being patient while I figured myself out. Thank you for being you. From inside, we heard Ava's voice calling out, Are they making out on the balcony? They're totally making out on the balcony. We laughed, breaking apart, but keeping our hands linked, rings glinting in the fading light. We should get back to our guests, I said. In a minute, Marcus replied, kissing me once more. Let me have you to myself for just a little longer. As we stood there, wrapped in each other's arms with the city spread out below us and our friends' laughter drifting through the door, I felt a completeness I'd never known before. This was home. Not the loft, not the city, but this being with Marcus, being loved by him, building a life together. Everything I'd dreamed of during those 3 years of silent longing had come true, and it was even better than I'd imagined. We'd found our way to each other through honesty and courage, through taking a chance on something that seemed impossible, and now we had forever to explore everything that love could be. Ready to go back in? Marcus asked eventually. Ready, I said, squeezing his hand. As long as you're with me? Always, he promised. Always. Hand in hand, wearing our promise rings, we walked back inside to our life, our friends, our future together. Are you sure about this? I asked, checking the GPS on my phone as Marcus drove us up the familiar mountain road. Completely sure, Marcus replied, that same excited grin on his face that he'd had a year ago. We made a promise to come back for our anniversary. Besides, I have a surprise for you. Another surprise? The weekend getaway wasn't enough. Trust me, you'll like this one. When we pulled up to the cabin, the same cabin where everything had changed, my heart swelled with nostalgia. It looked exactly the same, beautiful and welcoming. How did you manage to book the same cabin? I asked as we unloaded our bags. I called in a favor with my boss, Marcus admitted. Told him it was our anniversary, and this place was special to us. He pulled some strings. Inside, everything was as I remembered, but Marcus had clearly been planning. There were roses in a vase on the kitchen counter, champagne chilling in the fridge, and rose petals leading to the bedroom. Marcus Reed, I said, turning to him with wonder. Are you trying to seduce me? Maybe, he said, pulling me close. Is it working? Absolutely. We spent the afternoon rediscovering the cabin, taking the same hike we'd taken a year ago, holding hands and stealing kisses along the trail. When we reached the viewpoint, Marcus stopped and turned to me, his expression suddenly serious. This is where I first realized I couldn't keep pretending anymore, he said. Standing here with you, holding your hand, I knew I had to tell you the truth. That moment changed my life. Changed both our lives, I said softly. Which is why this feels like the right place for this. And then, to my shock, Marcus got down on one knee. Dylan Carter, he said, pulling out a small box. You've been my best friend, my partner, my home. You've been patient with me, supported me, loved me even when I didn't know how to love myself. I can't imagine my life without you in it, and I don't want to. Will you marry me? I was crying before he even finished, nodding frantically. Yes. Yes. Absolutely yes. He stood up, slipping the ring, a beautiful platinum band with a small diamond onto my finger. And then we were kissing and crying and laughing all at once. I love you so much, I said, between kisses. So much. I love you too. Always have, always will. That night, we sat in the hot tub under the stars, just as we had a year ago. But this time, there was no uncertainty, no fear. Just two people who'd found their way to each other, Ready to spend the rest of their lives together? Thank you for taking a chance on me, Marcus said, his arm around my shoulders. Thank you for being brave enough to tell me the truth, I replied. For loving me, loving you is the easiest thing I've ever done. As we sat there, engaged and blissfully happy, I thought about how much can change in a year. How one moment of courage, one honest conversation, one confession under the stars can transform your entire life. I'd spent 3 years believing Marcus was out of reach, convinced that loving him from afar was the best I could hope for. But I'd been wrong. Sometimes, the person you think you can never have is actually the person who's been waiting for you all along. And sometimes, all it takes is a hot tub moment you never expected to change everything.